There is a place where an entire village floats above one of the world's highest lakes. No roads lead here. No streets connect the homes. Instead, small boats move between islands made from golden totora reeds, carrying people across the cold waters of Lake Titicaca. And this is Uros. More than 3,800 meters above sea level, families live, work, eat, and raise their children on floating islands built by hand. Even the ground beneath their homes is made from reeds. But there is a strange problem. The islands are slowly breaking down beneath them. Every 1 or 2 weeks, fresh layers of totora must be added to keep the islands strong. Without that work, the ground would slowly disappear into the lake. What began as a refuge generations ago has become a way of life, unlike almost anywhere else. On this journey, we step on to the floating islands of Uros to discover how people built homes on water and how they keep them alive. Arriving at Uros, the boat leaves Puno, and within minutes, the shoreline begins to disappear. Buildings become tiny. Roads are gone. Ahead, only Lake Titicaca and endless golden reeds remain. Then the islands appear. Small floating platforms rise from the water scattered across the lake. There are no bridges between them. Every journey here begins by boat. As you step onto the first island, something feels strange. The ground moves slightly beneath your feet. It is soft, springy, because there is no soil underneath, only layers of totora reeds floating above the cold water. And suddenly, Uros no longer feels like a place you have arrived at. It feels like a place that should not exist. The history: the Uros did not always live on Lake Titicaca. When powerful groups began pressuring them, they moved farther into the lake rather than fighting. They built floating islands where they could stay safer. The lake became their shelter. Fish lived beneath their homes. Totora reeds grew around them. Birds nested nearby. Everything they needed was close, and the islands could move. When danger came, families could cut the anchor ropes and move towards safer water. Then, in 1986, a powerful storm destroyed many floating foundations. Families had to rebuild their islands closer to the mainland. Over time, the refuge became home. The Uros call themselves Lupihakis, or children of the sun god, and their stories reflect their deep connection to the lake. They did not simply escape to the water, they built a life on it. Building an island. For the Uros, an island is not something they find, they build it. It starts with totora reeds and the thick root blocks, called kili, that grow beneath the shallow water. These floating blocks are cut, tied together, and anchored to the lake floor. Then, the real work begins. Thousands of reeds are placed across the surface, layer after layer, until the island becomes thick enough to walk on and build homes. Even the houses are made from totora. But the island never stays the same. The reeds beneath the surface slowly rot, so families must add fresh layers every 1 to 2 weeks. After around 20 to 30 years, the old foundation becomes too weak, and the process begins again. Here, an island is not permanent. It survives only because people keep rebuilding it. Inside Uros homes. The first thing you notice inside a Uros home is the floor. It feels soft. It moves slightly beneath your feet. Inside, life is simple. Beds, warm wool blankets, and small spaces protect families from the cold nights at this high altitude. Many homes now use solar panels for lights and phones, while clean water arrives by boat from Puno. The lake is part of everything. It provides food, reeds for building, transport, and income. Even rubbish is taken back to the mainland rather than left in the water. Nothing here is built to last forever. The walls, floors, and roofs all depend on reeds and on people willing to keep repairing them. The home is simple, but keeping it alive is not. Morning begins with the lake. Food on the lake. Fishermen pull in their nets, bringing karachi and ispi for soup or a simple fried meal with Andean potatoes. For visitors, rainbow trout is now more common, often served with hot quinoa soup and tea to keep warm against the cold. Then there is the totora itself. The soft inner part of the reed is crisp and watery, with a taste close to cucumber. Locals eat it fresh, especially under the strong high-altitude sun. But the lake cannot provide everything. Each morning, boats arrive from Puno carrying bread, eggs, rice, medicine, gas cylinders, and other supplies. On the return journey, those same boats carry fish and handicrafts back to the city. There are no roads here, no delivery trucks. The market comes directly to the door. Tourism on the islands. When the first boats from Puno arrive, the islands become busy. Visitors step on to the floating platforms, meet local families, and learn how the islands are built from totora. Entrance fees help the community maintain the islands, repair anchors, collect waste, and keep the floating foundations strong. Then the journey continues by reed boat. Families earn money from boat rides, handicrafts, restaurants, and small lodges. Every woven bag, tapestry, and miniature boat adds something to the household income. But once the visitors leave, daily life returns. Fishermen go back to the lake. Fresh reeds are gathered. Homes are repaired. For families near Puno, tourism has become an important source of income. But it also creates a problem. When visitors stop coming, income can disappear. The lake once protected the Uros from the outside world. Today, the outside world helps keep their islands alive. Education and boats. Every morning, small boats leave the islands carrying children towards school. For Uros families, the boat is more than transport. It is the road to education. Some children attend primary schools on the floating islands, while older students travel toward Puno or lakeside communities for secondary school. Healthcare works the same way. Basic medical care may be available on the islands, but serious problems require a boat trip to Puno. When the lake becomes rough, even a short journey can feel long. Many young Uros now study, work, and use the internet in Puno. Yet they still return for festivals, family events, and the work of rebuilding their islands. Every morning, a child rows toward the modern world. Every afternoon, they return home. The island stays, but its children are changing. Faith and festivals. For the Uros, Lake Titicaca is more than water. It is part of their spiritual life. Their beliefs mix older Andean traditions with Catholic faith. They honor Pachamama, Mother Earth, and on special days, families visit sacred places to pray. A small drink is poured onto the ground as an offering for health, safety, and a good journey. In February, many Uros families travel by boat to Puno for the festival of the Virgen de la Candelaria, joining in music, colorful clothing, and traditional dances. Then, on June 21st, families mark the Aymara New Year and welcome the first sunlight with prayers. The songs, dances, and rituals keep their culture alive. The islands may change, but these traditions keep their identity floating forward. The fire of 2026. Around June 27, 2026, fire spread across the Uros Islands after embers from cooking were caught by strong winds. The dry totora burned quickly, destroying 2 islands and leaving 11 families and 33 people without homes. But here, the ground itself can burn. After the flames were gone, families began bringing fresh totora to rebuild the damaged foundations and their homes. Black ash remained beneath the new layers, hidden but not forgotten. The danger does not come only from fire. Pollution, changing water levels, and shrinking totora beds are also putting pressure on this way of life. Still, the work continues. They build, it breaks, they build again. And now, an even bigger question is waiting. How long can this floating world survive the changes around it? The future. The Uros are entering a new chapter. Many young people study and work in Puno. They use smartphones, the internet, and modern technology, while some return home with new skills in engineering and tourism. They want to protect the lake and build a better future for their islands. Solar power is growing, and tourism is changing too. Their children may live differently from their grandparents, but one thing remains: the knowledge of how to build, repair, and care for a floating island. The lake is changing, the world is changing, but the Uros are still rebuilding, carrying their old knowledge into a new future. As the last light fades across Lake Titicaca, the floating islands begin to disappear into the evening mist. But Uros is not a monument frozen in time. It is a living home that must be rebuilt again and again. We saw islands made of reeds, children rowing to school, boats bringing food from Puno, and families rebuilding after the 2026 fire. The ground beneath their feet may slowly decay, but their knowledge does not. It passes from parents to children, layer by layer, just like the totora itself. If this journey changed how you see Uros, subscribe and travel with us to more extraordinary places around the world. And tell us below, would you spend a night on a floating island?